Have you ever had issues with webhooks? Almost certainly you've had moments during Black Friday, Cyber Monday flash sales, or a merchant bulk operation that caused issues with your app. Hookdeck sits in front of your app as middleware to solve reliability, scalability, and observability issues with your webhooks without rewriting your stack. It's an alternative to AWS EventBridge that preserves your sanity. Webhooks are automatically queued to protect your endpoints, and failed deliveries are automatically retried on your own schedule. Every webhook is stored in a persistent, searchable event log you can filter and replay by order ID or timestamp, and noisy duplicates are removed before they hit your processors. I've recently started using Hookdeck for my own app. For a minimal amount of work, I gain confidence that my app can handle whatever amount of webhooks Shopify throws its way. Hookdeck will send them to me at a rate my infrastructure can handle, and if something goes wrong, I can easily inspect the undelivered payloads and trust they will be resent. App developers like Gorgeous, UserLoop, EasyPost, SuperCycle, Rocked, and Penny Lane use Hookdeck to reduce on-call noise, avoid outages, recover from issues quickly, and ship with confidence. You can use it for free for up to 10,000 events a month, and you can be running in minutes since it doesn't require any code changes. Check out the description for more. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Liquid Weekly podcast. I am your host, Karl, out of breath, Meisterheim. With me, as always, my good-looking colleague, intelligent, handsome, tight haircut, in great shape, the Taylor Page. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Karl. How are you doing?
I just gotta say, Taylor, I'm a happily married man, but you're looking really good these days, Taylor. Are you working out? Paying off.
Thank you. I'm actually working out like less than normal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I told you we got a puppy, and
Yes.
my morning routine revolves around waking up early and to work out. And the bad thing about puppies is they don't really care about your morning routine. It's like having a little kid in the house again. So, she's getting up at like 5, and someone's got to watch her because otherwise she chews everything. So, and my kids who said they were going to do a lot of the work have not actually held up their end of the bargain as far as taking care of the dog. So it's just dad doing a lot of stuff, which is okay. I love dogs, but so yeah. But I the worst thing that I've discovered in my 30s, Karl, here is probably like more so than working out. Like if you're trying to like hit a certain weight, diet is more important than physical activity. And that's just brutal to me because I've always thought I could outwork a bad diet, and turns out you actually cannot in your 30s. Maybe in your 20s, but definitely not in your 30s.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because I also have been paying attention. I'm a little farther ahead of you on the old chronometer, and the pounds are adding up. I was like, wait a minute, I used to be able to just like, pay attention more to like how many calories I've been taking, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but doing that with no success, it's like, okay, maybe it's not just the type, maybe it's the type of food too, right? So I actually sort of accidentally started the keto diet a few weeks ago.
Yeah, how's that been going? Feeling good? Feeling fresh? Spry?
No, not great. I'm feeling okay.
No? Okay.
This is just today. This is mid-November. I just reached week 3, which for most people, it's like 3 to 6 weeks is kind of what it takes to adapt your metabolism. So,
Okay.
I'm still on the cusp in some ways. And
Did you hit that like keto flu stage or whatever where you feel like absolute garbage for a period of time?
I did, and then it got better, and then I'm feeling it again a little bit, so I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but I'm reading lots of stuff, trying the best, electrolytes, got that down as far as I can tell. I'm eating plenty of food. It's just, I don't know. We'll get there.
Yeah, you'll get there.
It can't have
that was
hurt.
yeah, exactly. That's, if you're getting all the nutrients that you need and whatnot. We did the paleo diet, which is, I think, just like naturally keto a long time ago. And I felt pretty good about that. But again, that was in my late 20s. So I still hadn't hit the 30s quite yet. And so everything, once you adjusted to that, it was odd for me because I got to the point where I was eating just because I knew I was supposed to eat, not because I was hungry, which was kind of the first time. I'm a bigger dude. So that's the first time in my life I experienced that. Like I just live in constant hunger. It feels like most of the time. My wife was like, "Oh, are you hungry?" I'm like, I literally could eat anytime. But when it was keto, it was just more, guess I got to eat something now. So hopefully that meant the body was adjusting, but I don't know. Anyways, I don't do that anymore. So still want to crush pizza all the time.
I'm going to let it play out for a while because it's such a well, I don't know if terrible is the right word, but it's a deal to get into it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just like dabble for a week or two, like, nah, that wasn't for me, and then stop. So I'm gonna do it for a while and see how it goes. And
Nice. Well, good for you, man. That's awesome.
thanks. Like I said, can't hurt. I eat, far fewer crackers and candy and bread and
Cheese balls.
ice cream.
Those are
I know,
gone.
cheese balls. I know. All that stuff
They're
out
not
the window.
keto.
Well, there's other things that are, though. I'm eating a lot more cream cheese.
Oh, there you go. That's yeah. There you go.
Like these chicken dishes. There's ones like you basically put like raw chicken breasts in an Instant Pot, cover it with cream cheese and some other things, and let it cook raw, and you eat it, and it's like, this is really good.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah,
You
because
would never
you can
eat
eat
this
like
before.
cheese and all that other stuff, right? To your heart's content. And I never actually had too much of a problem with that. And for those of you listening, we will get to Shopify stuff pretty quickly.
Sorry.
But I don't like bread, which people always think is really weird. I don't. It's not that I don't like it. I should be careful about how I say this or whatever, because I always get that reaction.
Potato. Let's just say that.
It's no baked potato. Like so to me, I only have bread if it is. I never have bread by itself. Like I only want it if it's for a sandwich or something like that. But if you go to a restaurant or whatever, like I don't eat the bread that they put out beforehand. Like I don't want to snack on bread. That's not interesting to me or whatever. So my kids and my wife will eat it. That's fine. They love bread. I never understand. It's like, unless it is a vehicle for meat and cheese, I don't want it really. Like, just weird. Yeah. So, but this is not a health and wellness podcast quite yet. We'll get there after Karl's keto transformation is complete.
I wish. Well, that's the other thing. I do. So my workout, and this is my last statement. My workout routine is I bike Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the exercise bike, which I loathe, but it's the only thing I can do right now because my issue with my foot, I can't run anymore. But I also do push-ups on those days. And so Monday I was doing my push-ups, and like 3 push-ups in, I pulled a muscle. Like, that hurts. I'll stop, right? So I'm like trying to get over it. And then I had to go get my kid out of his crib. He's still in a crib. And I lifted him out. And then like the whole thing just jacked up. And like fell to the floor. Kid's still in the crib. Like, my wife, get up here, please. Help me. I can't lift this child. I'm stuck on the floor for a while. I need your help.
Oh,
the other fun thing about aging.
Do you? Yeah, this is we should normalize stretching, even for something like push-ups and different things. Did you stretch before you started to engage in your rigorous physical activity?
Well, I figured the bike wasn't a warm-up.
That's a warm-up for your legs, maybe.
I know.
You're working totally different muscles with push-ups. Like, what are you doing, man?
I used to not have to worry about it.
This is hard because I think that's the hardest thing that I also had to get over with working out was I had to start actually stretching, which I don't know. When you do it in high school and in athletics and different things, and even in college, you feel like you're invincible, and you really don't need to, but for optimal performance or whatever, you're going to stretch before you engage in X, Y, and Z. When you get into your 30s, apparently this is I'm telling everybody right now, it's 30s because I've noticed the difference.
Yes, 30s.
You just have to stretch before you do stuff, That's so 30s and on. So you're further along, but like you definitely, make sure you do the warm ups. Get your body ready for it. There's a whole series of things. Have you listened to that Andrew Huberman guy?
No, I always listen to Karl.
Oh yeah. Well, he's this like neuroscientist, right, or whatever, out of, is it Stanford? Maybe, I don't know.
Is he the guy's trying to live forever?
Butchering all this. No, it's not that guy. He's like a neuropsychologist, something like this or whatever. But he talks a lot about like physical activity and well-being as well. And he talks about how your central nervous system even has to be prepared for physical activity. I've always thought about it from a muscle and joints perspective or whatever, but he's even talked about all these different things. So it's interesting. I don't understand most of it, but I think it's definitely helpful to start to realize one's own limitations so that way you can avoid injury. Because that's that's how it happens. Just stuff that you wouldn't think would trip you up ends up tripping you up. So like picking up a kid or whatever.
So a neuropsychologist, is that someone that's like a psychologist directly for your brain? Like just bypasses you entirely and just like sits down?
Yeah, just you don't even need to be involved. It's just straight to the brain.
I want one of those.
The old noggin.
That's right. Anyway, so your puppy's ruining your life. My advanced age is ruining mine. But Shopify is the one glimmer of hope and both of our otherwise dull and pathetic lives. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
What's going
Let's
on
do
with
it.
Shopify? Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about what we can talk about, and we can obviously talk about all sorts of things all the time. And I thought it would be
very meta.
interesting. Very meta. Yeah, I thought it would be interesting if we just talk about some of our favorite changelog updates, because the way when this episode comes out, we record a little bit before episodes come out. We don't actually record the morning of and post. That's not actually how it works. And so like we record a couple weeks ahead of time, right? And when this comes out, we should really be on to our next like editions, like winter 2025 or winter 2026. Is that how it works? I don't know. I'll have to look at the dates. How does that line up? So I thought it would be fun to talk about some of our favorite things that have updated in that time frame.
Yes.
So what do you think?
I love it. And dear listener, the one or two of you that have made it through our personal health updates. Yeah. It is my routine, my habit, my duty to give Taylor a hard time during regular podcast episodes about the changelog, because he just comes so prepared, and I just can't help but to ridicule him, because inside I'm still just a small child that can't handle other people's success. I don't know what it is, but I'm very excited to talk about this more in depth, because we love to dive into the technical details. We just don't always have the time. And so today we couldn't trick anyone into being here with us. So we have the time, and we get to really hear about this stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for what you put together. Can't wait to dive in. Let's do it.
Yeah. And, I'll go ahead and so I did actually pull up a dev store just for this, so we can do a little show and tell. So for those of you on listening instead of just watching, you can always go back and watch later, or alternatively, we'll try to talk through this as well. So, if our talking through it's not that great, then we'll just work on this otherwise. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to share my screen, Karl. We don't do this a ton, so hopefully you can see my screen here.
Yes, I'll describe it for the listeners. So Taylor and I's images have shrunk to mere thumbnails, and a larger portion of the screen is taken up by a view of a default Shopify dev store.
Yes. And so I did the whole generated test data. So if you're doing a dev shop, highly recommend doing generated test data. That's just a little button you toggle there if you're playing around with stuff. You don't have to worry about stuffing your
Is it still just snowboards and fashion?
It is. It's snowboards. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so tired of snowboards.
Some other items. I mean, you can upload your own products, Karl, if you really want to. But for those of us that are just trying to like get through to the thing, that's really not necessary.
I just think Shopify's missing an opportunity here. Like on Halloween, could they not have had like a Harry Potter themed demo store data set that they made available, and you could generate a store with Harry Potter stuff? I just think
that would have been cool. Ben, if you're listening, put that one down. Put Karl's name on it. I think that's a great idea. Some more themed type products here would be great. That'd be fun for us.
Yes.
So
we all work out
because we're creating all these. So the experience so this is something else maybe like to talk about. I actually didn't list this, but it is cool. The new dev dashboard. Amazing that we can just create. This is a Shopify Plus development store, Karl. Like we haven't been able to do this until this year, where we can just spin up our own dev shop that's a Plus shop.
Really?
Yes.
I think I've been doing this all along.
So that is because you've had access to a sandboxed situation where you're a Plus agency affiliated person, right?
Yes.
So the rest of us commoners, us lowly developers who've been slogging in the mines here, we've not had access to this technology, and now we do. So when you are in the dev dashboard, you create a new one, you select the plan that you want for this. So there's been some clarification. Maybe we'll link to this while we're talking through this. I'm thinking of all sorts of things I should have actually spelled out here. Shopify talks about how you can create different development stores, and this is one when you create them from the dev dashboard. This is just for your own benefit, right? Like you're building, you're hacking on stuff kind of type thing. If you are planning to hand off a store, so if you're building storefront experiences for merchants and those sorts of things, you should still create the store in your actual partner dashboard. I think that part's been a little confusing to people. You can do both, right? So just a point of clarification there.
Yeah, that's key.
And we'll link to that. Yeah, it is. It's key. Key is a big thing. And so anyways.
Keto, maybe.
Ooh, there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about one of my favorite things here right off the bat, probably that is the coolest thing offhand. we have a new product status. This is like relatively new. So for those of you that have not had access to this before, if you're on a product page in the admin, you can go into a product, and instead of just active and draft, we have now this unlisted status, which is really, really handy. This makes the product only accessible via a direct link. So if you've been building storefronts for merchants and these sorts of things or what have you, this is handy because before we've used the SEO.hidden, which has worked mostly well, but there are a handful of caveats you've had to consider with SEO.hidden. For instance, it hides it by from on-site and off-site search by removing it from the store's sitemap, which is great. The problem is different apps that you're downloading onto your store, even Shopify's own product recommendations API, do not respect this. And so products that you would think would be hidden and not surfaced anywhere on the store would actually show up as product recommendations. So think of if you have a free product that you're like giving away as a custom thing for your customers or whatever, it could potentially show up as a product recommendation for somebody, and you definitely don't want that.
Ooh.
So yeah, this new unlisted option here, absolutely fantastic because it does exactly what you would want it to do. To me, exactly what you'd want it to do with some caveats. Like, so this is still not like perfect in my mind of how I would want it to operate, but it does check all the other boxes and it's easy enough to work around. So I'll talk about that here a little bit.
I was trying to tell someone about this the other day. I said, hey, have you accessed the new product listing or the new product status? I said, oh, where was it? I said, oh, it's unlisted. Like, no, like, where can I see more about it? Like, no, it's unlisted. And they were very confused about the whole thing, but we finally figured it out. Do you know?
It's unlisted.
When you were looking at this more in depth, did it make any mention about what do they call it? The global catalog? Like, does it remove it from that as well? Will this impact anything in terms of how the AIs are going to integrate with Shopify and scrape all our data?
That's a really good question. So as far as that goes, from my understanding, it should be respected as an unlisted status in that, because it can only be surfaced specifically with the link. And to show you what I mean by that, this is one of those caveats here so I'll jump into a store real quick here, just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So for instance, if you create a unlisted product here, and I've navigated in the online editor to a section for featured products. And let's say we want to go ahead and make this an unlisted product, but so it's hidden from the storefront or whatever. But maybe there are certain instances where we'd actually want to select this. Sure. So if a merchant comes in here and they want to like feature this product maybe on a hidden page or something like this,
it doesn't show up.
It does not show up. You cannot, even if you're in the admin and the customizer, you cannot access this. So, the good thing of that is, some other random staff can't accidentally surface some kind of unlisted product here. The downside of this being they cannot make this easily accessible, again, unless you have the direct link. So the workaround for this then, if you did want to somehow provide this, so I've used an image with text section here to kind of showcase this. Just kind of made notes here that like this hidden snowboard product, the direct link is available but not available otherwise, even in admin settings. And so what you can do is just literally have to throw in a link here. In this case, we've done a button link for /product/ and then the product handle itself. And this will then navigate to our hidden product. But otherwise, it's completely inaccessible. So
Very
again,
sneaky.
real positive. Yeah, real positive. But you're going to have to do some workarounds. So if you want to make this available otherwise. So just definitely a consideration before. You can add it to the cart once it's there. Again, you do have to make sure it's available in the online stores channel for that. So you still have to make sure that that's in that channel rather than completely removing it from there. So again, really handy with some caveats, but the benefit of this being it won't show up in product recommendations API. It won't show up with other apps. You don't have to add tags or something like this to exclude it or whatever from like featured products and stuff like this. It will just work. Automated collections as well. It will not showcase directly in here.
Excellent. Thank you, Taylor. Very helpful.
Yeah. So talking about collections, that would be another nice thing to make mention. Yeah. Another handy little thing that has happened here is the ability to easily duplicate collections. So believe it or not, you couldn't do this until relatively recently.
Yeah, I was surprised this was a new thing. I was like, oh, really? You can't?
Right? Because there's duplicate almost everywhere else. Like for products, we can even duplicate meta objects, like all sorts of stuff. Another fun one that I'll talk about for duplicate here in a minute is menus, because that was super handy.
Toilet.
I just did. So the benefit of this being, this is, we can create this new one. Obviously, we'd want something other than like new, right? Or whatever. Now, this is just handy because if you've got like a whole bunch of conditions on like an automated collection, you just need to like tweak them a little bit rather than like recreating this whole thing from scratch. You can duplicate and then just change your settings. Like this cuts down on a lot of admin time. That will make it very, very handy for sure. So big fan of this. The other,
if you duplicate a collection and it's duplicating all the conditions, how would you see yourself using it? Is it mainly to like tweak an existing collection, or?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, most merchants, when they're building or creating collections, or you're doing automated collections, and 9 times out of 10, like I'm recommending automated collections anyways. But you could do this even too for manual collections as well, obviously. To me, the benefit is always automated collections, because otherwise you're having to manually manage those. And when you start to get into multiple collections, it's really hard to remember what goes where. So, but again, like if you've manually created a collection and you just want a handful of products like removed or what have you kind of type thing, it could be beneficial for that. But I see this more beneficial where, most merchants are, they're adding like tags to, filter out specific products they do and don't want or something like this. So that's really where it comes into play of just not having to like recreate everything from scratch. That's the biggest benefit for sure. Yeah. So the other piece of that is, since people are able to like use tags, this is another thing that you didn't think was actually the case until recently, but is not equal. So this is a new way that we can create collections in the admin here.
That's
where a
new
tag
too?
is not equal to something. It's new. So this has got me so many times where we were like, yeah, we can definitely create a collection where we're excluding these products. This was very helpful again for like if we had hidden products where we had SEO.hidden enabled for specific products. Maybe we'd also add a hidden tag, and then we'd say, hey, like if it has a hidden tag, like exclude this product.
Yeah.
You could not do that until very recently. And so my workaround for that was actually we would use the SEO.hidden meta field. And then we would actually create a different meta field that would allow us to assign true false to show in automated collections for products. Now, the downside of this being you could choose yes or no, right, for like a Boolean option here for a meta field. The downside of it being you had to update all of your products with a default. So you had to say yes for all of them and then go manually in and like update these, which is trivial for a small amount of SKUs. It is horrifying if you've got thousands, right?
Yeah.
And so I've actually used Daniel Beck's AbleStar product editor, fantastic for this, where we could just do this, update all of them except for the ones where we've already got this tag that we don't want included, and works beautifully for stuff like this. So again, like if you've got big stuff that you want to like deal with in that. So in this instance here, we can exclude specific products. So for instance, like we don't want those with that are equal to a tag of like winter. And so that will update our products in here as well if we're using that product tag specifically, or it should. Oh man, it got rid of all of them. They're all using winter. Okay, so this is the downside of that. Make sure to you properly test these. Winter was probably a bad choice, right?
Yeah.
Considering their snowboards. Maybe we'll exclude. No, we can't exclude accessories because none of those boards.
I think people trust that this will work. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because clearly it works, huh?
Yeah.
So we got rid of premium, and it dropped from 7 to 3.
There you go. Proof. Here. So it does in fact work.
Proof's in the pudding. So, and there it is. There's the pudding. So, there you go. That's one of the fun things to do. Pudding is delightful.
I know, but
you can or can't.
It can't
with keto.
Keto, yeah. Thanks a lot for rubbing that in.
Oh, sorry. I'll remember that the next time I'm enjoying some delicious.
I'm sure there's some sort of recipe that you can do.
Yeah, oh yeah, they've got recipes
So,
for everything for that stuff.
raw eggs and almond flour and some allulose. Yeah, sure.
Right. So those are collections with duplicating and then being able to exclude by tags. This is fantastic. Super excited about that mess. The other benefit here was menus. So like you can now
Yes.
duplicate menus very easily as well. That's just like a quick reference as far as that goes. Like again, kind of like you said, like collections, like kind of surprised, like, oh, we haven't been able to duplicate those before. That's surprising. And so this is another instance where initially when so menus moved from underneath the online store to now they're under content.
Oh,
And then up until this point, we haven't been able to like just duplicate those very easily. There's been a lot of other tools, Shopify apps, and even extensions and stuff that people have built to make this easier to manage, like Chrome extensions and stuff. I know I've done this before, especially if you've got some kind of a mega menu and they take like a super long time, but then we've got to tweak it for this new product launch and they want a similar structure. Being able to duplicate these saves a ton of time. So this is very handy. Highly recommend that as well. So again, just like a lot of niceties, like, very similar to or exciting for like those boring edition updates. I love stuff like that. It's made everybody's lives easier, both devs, people setting up storefronts, and merchants. So
what one is there's a Mac OS version? I think it was Snow Leopard.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I could be wrong about this, you listeners, so correct me if I'm wrong, but there was one version that was like super boring in terms of like there was no great new features, but it was just a lot of polish and a lot of like bug fixes and just little helpful things that you kind of miss that are simple. And people love that, right? And now we're got these crazy releases like with the liquid glass and stuff that don't really add a lot, but bring a lot of, well, they add a lot, but they also add a lot of frustration. Anyway, all I'm saying is that there's a lot of merit in these small incremental quality of life things, I think, what people really appreciate. So it's nice to see some of this come to fruition.
Yeah, 100%. That's the big thing, right? Is just like making things everybody's life a little bit easier, or just even solidifying like existing stuff or whatever, just to make it more stable. Big fan. I don't know which one you're talking about, but I think those are always the best. So
I want less dopamine hits in my life, and I want more just get rid of my frustration. So
right,
you don't have to wow me, just make it not suck.
yeah, just make it not suck. This was another thing that I wanted to cover as well in the exciting updates that have happened or what have you. So basically before, this is again something that like you kind of thought was available but wasn't. We didn't have like an article, a blog post, or a list of posts that we could assign as a meta field on a specific. Yeah, I know, right? Like we never had this type until like relatively recently. That was this year as well. So with some, I had to do this with a handful of folks where we were kind of like sifting through products in like a very custom way or whatever, but it seems like it would make sense where we would have this option that you could assign a blog post on a product page or whatever that you would want to showcase for this. Instead, like I was even using for a while, like we would create basically little meta objects that people could like assign to a page where it would just have like the initial bit of it. So that way people could get linked to it. So it would have like an image and then part of like the text and the title and stuff or what have you. Versus now, much easier. You can assign a single or list of meta fields if you wanted to for a specific product or whatever it ends up being. So this is also super handy.
So how would you
very
use
nice.
this?
So like, let's say you have, you want to showcase a list of specific blog posts on a given product, for example.
Okay.
So it would be product specific. So this could be anything from, just like when it was featured in some kind of special media. It could be technical manuals and stuff that you've written up as content for a blog post or something like this. Loads of different like reasons or use cases for something like that.
That makes a lot of sense. That'd be cool.
Yes. Very handy. Very exciting.
It's kind of like when I go to Home Depot, which I do a lot, and I'm looking at a product and they have like their warranty guide and they have like their installation guide and they have like their user guide. Like you could do all that with a bunch of blog posts in this meta field.
Yeah, you could, which would be nice because then you get the SEO value. Like before, like I don't know, a lot of shops that I've done that on, we've just had them like they've uploaded a PDF and we've made it like downloadable, right? So you can make that like an asset from the file picker or whatever. They can just download the PDF that way. This would be nice where if it wasn't, and you could still make it downloadable otherwise, but it's nice that they can set it up so that way if they want that content for SEO purposes or whatever, that they could, structure it that way too. But yeah, like this is a good thing in particular, the one shop I was working on was a tea store. So they sell tea, and they have lots of recipes on their blog. And so we can easily assign specific recipes to a given product. So that way it showcases like, oh, you're going to buy this product? Check out all these recipes that you can make with this thing. So that was really nice. Very handy.
Speaking of tea makes me feel the same way that board games make me feel. It's like when I go to a board game store, you see all these beautiful board games with these amazing boxes with cool art on it. You look at the back, it looks so cool. It's like an experience I want to have. But then you sit down to play the game, and it's just like, I can't handle all these rules right now. Like, I just need something simple. I want the feeling that this box makes me feel. Tea's the same way. Like, you've got all these amazing flavors and little boxes and little tinctures and things that you can make with it, but it tastes like garbage. It's like, I just want it to be good.
Have you seen Ted Lasso? He yes. said that his thing is always like he does not like the tea, and at a certain point he asks them like, this is a joke, right? Like all of y'all, like this is some kind of a joke you're playing on everybody, like this doesn't taste terrible to you. Like,
And enough people think I'm an idiot. Mary Ann would say you're doing it wrong. Probably I am. So someday someone can make me a really good cup of tea and I'll give it one more chance. But I've tried. I really have tried.
I'm the same way. I only, one of the shops I work for is a tea shop, and they have multiple brands, and they have one tea that I've enjoyed. It's just a very simple lemon tea, like a lemon green tea that I just get, and they discontinued it. I was so angry. So I had to like order like a ton of boxes for this, because at a certain point I'm like, I can't drink more coffee because this caffeine amount is probably dangerous. And so
there's caffeine in green tea. What are you talking about?
So yeah, there is, but it's not like as substantial as coffee.
Okay.
It's like it's like third, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not a scientist. So
okay,
so those were a handful of these updates. This one, so for those of you just listening and not viewing, I do have.
They're no longer here, Taylor.
They're no longer here. They haven't made this far. I do have the new online store code editor up and ready to rock for us here. So this has been met with a lot of contention, Karl. There's a lot of people that are very upset about this, and I don't understand
get it.
why.
You can do global search. That's all I ever wanted in life.
I know this is super confusing to me. So there's even been I don't know, good, bad, and indifferent. I just don't understand the comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you had trouble copying and pasting within this?
No, but I honestly don't use it a lot.
Okay. I had a good friend that was complaining about that the other day, and that baffled me that was an issue, and I wanted to go verify if it was actually inherent to the editor.
Copying and pasting like to and from?
I feel like he was having trouble. I have to go listen to what he said again, but yeah, I know.
I'd be curious. Let me see. Let's see. We've got color solid button label. Let's pick a color here. I've got a color that I've just copied to the clipboard. I just copied and pasted from here.
Yeah, see? I think it was him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so if people listening on the podcast, if you've had trouble with this, go ahead and add us, and we'll send it on to Ben, I guess. This was like one of his big projects that he was super excited about, because he wanted to build,
it's amazing.
Code from the beach, And so you can now. Like, this is just VS Code, and it's available in your browser, and it's pretty cool.
I love it, personally.
Yeah, and this is nice too. Like, if you click on the little Shopify icon, you can customize directly from there. There's a little Shopify icon. Ooh. So this is nice. There's a couple of little things. Your previews right here. You can go back to the admin. So they've got some little niceties in here. It would be nice if they hid some of these that didn't actually, they were not eligible or available. Like, that seems odd.
Well, maybe it's coming.
Maybe you're right. It would be cool if we could do a whole bunch of different things. Like, can you install like profiles? Because that would be cool.
I don't know.
It says you can. New profile.
This
is how much I use this, clearly. Right.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Like, for a lot of our listeners, well, I don't know. I should not paint with a broad brush, but a typical developer is probably not using the built-in theme editor, right? They're having a flow that involves Git and probably a local editor, potentially.
Well, so this is the whole. Most of the feedback that I've heard is non-Shopify devs, so marketers, SEOs, or whatever, complaining about this for merchants, saying that merchants they're upset because merchants aren't able to like get into this, or merchants are having trouble accessing this or what have you. And that's when I don't know, like I'm not sure how good of a thing it is if you're not comfortable with this jumping into a theme and touching code. You know what I mean? This doesn't feel like a big leap to me.
Well,
As
it's
far
just because you're really
as
smart, Taylor.
well, I don't think that's the case. You know, I still remember being a non-dev. You know, I was not born into web development, right? Like I was like a social worker for a
That's from
very
the
long time.
aristocracy. Yes.
That's yeah. I've transitioned to this new phase here,
Nouveau
and
dev.
I don't know. Like I don't feel like this is all that much different. I think the other online editor was just what people were used to for a long time, and it's changed a little bit. I feel like for the better, even though other people have suggested not so much. And there are strong feelings about this for people like that do not like it. They're like, this is horrible. One person referred to it as gatekeeping because they said it was too hard for merchants, and I was like, that's not gatekeeping, you know. So that to me was a very confusing comment. And so is what it is. But I think this is a positive. I think this is helpful. I know a lot of app devs are very happy about this because instead of most of the time when I'm interacting with a Shopify theme, it's for a merchant I'm working with. And so I have everything set up in the CLI and GitHub and all this other stuff and what have you.
Right.
So everything's running local. But app devs, like, there's no reason for you to come in and make a couple of tweaks to like do all of that.
Thank
And
you.
so this is nice to be able to just jump in and handle that really fast. So I would say we'll probably get some angry comments about this. If we're throwing out some love here for the new online code editor here. I think this is positive. You know, this is a good thing, I think, ultimately. So people will eventually get over that it's different, and we won't hear as many griping and complaining about it. But I think it's a good thing.
I like it too. Ben, great work.
Yeah, good job, guys. Y'all are crushing it. Nice. A couple other things that I wanted to make mention of, but at least I don't have anything really pulled up for at the moment. I think that I just like hit really fast offhand. You know, I was pretty excited about the visible if for theme settings. So this is very nice if you're not using this. And we talked about this with David Warrington when he was on the podcast as well. He's got a great blog post about how to use visible if in theme settings.
He's so
particularly,
smart.
he is super smart. Particularly when you've got a lot of theme settings enabled. It is really, really nice to be able to conditionally show and hide settings as needed. The very easiest thing is usually just like a checkbox setting and then only using visible if to display only if that setting is set to true. And so I use this all the time because the more settings that we have in the admin, like the more confusing it is for merchants to set things up. And so if we can try to take away some of that complexity and make it easier for them to manage, you're going to get fewer support requests to fix things that should be really simple, and you can get back to actually doing the thing that you love, like building stuff
Or drinking tea.
Or drinking tea, if you're the tea drinker.
One of those.
One of those. So another couple of things that I wanted to make mention of, and one of the important things too, I think we focus a lot on the dev changelog, but sometimes Shopify is sneaky and sneaks stuff in the general merchant changelog. Did you even know that there's some things that are copied over the same, and there are some things that are just posted in one and not the other. So I think that that's kind of confusing how they do that. So best recommendation is, you know, just to kind of pay attention to both as best you can. But like some of those things like duplicating collections, like in the admin, and excluding collections based on product tags, those were non-dev changelog updates, which I guess since they were just in the admin, they're not specific per se to developers building. I just think it's interesting as far as that goes, that they kind of pick and choose which one. But things like metafill meta object lists, that limits being increased, that was in there. So I thought that was interesting too, or a good thing. Huge that they increased that. So to 1 million. And I saw too, it's actually 1 million per definition. So you're limited to the amount of definitions, definitions that you can create. But that 1 million is per definition. So you could feasibly have 256 meta objects on a Plus store with 1 million definitions per definition. I thought that was interesting. I didn't pick up on that before. I thought it was like 1 million total. It is
So you
not.
can
It's 1
create.
million per.
The terminology is confusing me a little bit when you say definition.
Agreed.
Like, to me, definition means like the structure of it, and then you instantiate multiple copies. But you're saying you have 256 unique ideas of what meta objects are, and then each of those can have 1 million actual like representations in the system.
Yeah. So if you're, exactly. If you're going into, I'll just
I gotta get down with the terminology. I don't use them enough to.
Right. So if we wanted to go in here, you would add a definition. So this is when we're creating a whole new meta object type, right?
But you can do 256 of those, right?
So in a Plus shop, you can do 256 of these.
Okay, you said 1 million definitions. So,
well, 1 million per definition.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So we can create 256 of these meta object definitions, and then there can be 1 million entries per definition. So that's a lot.
It's a lot. That's 256 million if you do the math.
Whoa, that was so fast.
What can I say?
So yeah, if you have something like this, I've just got a super basic, like with a name, right, or whatever. You could feasibly add 1 million of these. So that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that when I initially read that. I just saw 1 million and I was stoked because that was the previous meta object limit was much smaller.
What would you even do with it?
Much bigger.
Have you seen this guy? I'm sure there's a lot of people that do this, but there's some YouTuber I ran across once. And he plays games, and his whole thing is he like tries to do the most ridiculous thing that the game will let you do. Like he played, what was it, Factorio, the factory building game or something like that.
Okay.
And so he's like making these like complex, crazy like structures of how you can bend the rules to create things that the game designers never intended for you to create, just to see what he can do and get away with.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of feel like trying to do that with Shopify sometimes. Like, what could you do with 256 million?
Well, so there's a couple of things potentially that you could look into. For that, like I remember when this was initially announced, somebody posted something about, okay, great. There was a merchant that they had talked to that was like a bookstore or a publisher or something like this, and they wanted to have individual meta object entries per author. And they had way more. I think the previous limit was like 128,000. It couldn't have been that small. And so I'll have to take a look at that to recall what it was. But obviously that was like way, way less than what they needed for that. Yeah. And this made it much more possible. So something else that was interesting, or I think the concern mostly is Shopify's been pushing, right, for app devs to use meta objects, right? Like keep the data within the shop. That's just smart. Whenever possible, it makes it accessible when needed to as well. Amazing apps like Foxel, Discount Kit, all these folks. I'm sure there are others or whatever. These are just the ones that have come to mind because I've built with them very recently, where they actually make these surfaceable via the theme code. So, for instance, when an app creates a meta object, I can access in Liquid some of those things that I need to access. So lists of products or types of discounts and those sorts of things and what have you. And so then I can build in this custom merchant experience that makes sure it's on brand. The developer never has to touch that. They can continue to build, and then they've got, something that's out of the box that meets a majority of use cases. But for the merchants that need something more custom, we can extend it with the data that lives directly on the shop, which is really, really cool. So because people are doing that, you can imagine if every single app dev starts opting into like building like meta objects, that meta object entry has to go way up.
That's true. We do the same thing in the app that I've worked on, Promo Party Pro, which is officially public now, by the way. It's we're not marketing it yet, but it's in the App Store. You can download it. But I can't imagine having done this without. Oh, thank you. Okay.
That sound effect is like, it's 40 seconds long. I had to just fade it out. Did it sound good though? Like that fade out? Great. I did that myself just now. It's still playing right now. Anyways, go ahead.
We'll stop. I was going to say, like, thank you. Between the function and the theme extension that sort of manages the cart for the discounts, Like we
Yeah.
heavily rely on having all that in the meta field. Like the old days where you would have had to use the app proxy or query or something like on every request, that would have been ridiculous. Like they're so much
Yeah.
nicer using meta fields.
Yeah, it's amazing. So you can imagine then too. Again, like you're talking about this, like why would we even need this many? That's why you need that many. You need it because like the merchant is not only using these meta object definitions and stuff, but the apps that they're using are using meta object definitions now, and so and that's great. It's definitely a performance boost because again you're not relying on all these extra calls and everything because the data just lives right there. If you need somebody to come in and do something custom, a theme dev like me can hop in and like just after chatting, like we can very quickly get that information and you don't have to worry about building something custom. Like their dev can build something custom on top of your app and stuff. So I think that that's definitely the way to go as far as when you're trying to build something on Shopify that you want a lot of like buy-in for. I think that that's huge. So again, meta object definitions, meta fields, all this fun stuff or what have you. That was really, really huge. So special call outs here because I know we're running a little bit longer on time. So I want to make sure we wrap it up and get to the other things.
Every time.
I know. But there as well, non-dev changelog, some cool things I didn't even see necessarily. There's some new flow triggers for like discounts being created or if a dispute was started. So like chargebacks and stuff. So we talked about with Dylan about like fraud and chargebacks and stuff like this or what have you here recently. Just how important that is to tie into some things. You can do some nice little things with flow triggers as well there now. So that I had missed too. I was just talking to somebody about this and I knew we could send HTTP requests based on a trigger from Flow, right? I did not. I forgot that you could even actually get return data and do stuff with it. Did you? I don't know if you've probably not had to mess with Flow too much or what have you, but there's been a couple of instances where that was kind of a limitation. And now you can actually do stuff with it, which is really cool. That's been around for months. I think May when I went back and looked at it, and I was like, I completely forgot about that. So, anyways, yeah, that's a reminder if anybody else needs that as well. Also special acknowledgement to cool things like discounts, with cart API, nested cart, line items, that being really huge. So this idea of adding multiple products to the cart with the cart API is really, really nice. Where, you've been able to add multiple items to the cart with the cart API for the longest time or what have you, but now you can do them as nested line items. So think, for example, if you wanted to add like a warranty on a product or something like this or what have you, you could actually tie it to that. So that way it shows up nicely. And I think that that's really, really nice. I wanted to have an example set up here as well to kind of like showcase that, but instead we'll just point to the docs as well because I knew that this was like if we have time and we're running late.
Yeah,
we're not really running late. We wanted to get to some other stuff, so we've got some time here at the end carved out for the other things, So, but yeah, we'll have that up.
Other things. Are you breaking up with me? Other things. The other things.
No, you had some stuff in here that I wanted to ask about. You had like we obviously we touched on the app being public, but you did not mention like the app is finally public and you already have a 5-star review.
Yeah, that wasn't my mom. In case you were wondering, she doesn't.
You didn't even ask me, so it's okay. Shopify partners cannot leave reviews, so like I would have to decline. So
no, we were we had been doing sort of a small beta. And one of the early users recently left a review, which I didn't know you could as a beta user. Beta being sort of something we came up with, right? It's not like an official Shopify process.
So beta is like, as in they left a review before the app was public?
Well, how do we do it? I think we simply had it set to be unlisted.
Okay.
But you could still install it if you had the link from us, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they were able to do it in that state.
Oh, nice. Okay, very cool. So then when you made it like public, so listed instead of unlisted, you just came onto the scene with a 5-star review. That's awesome.
I know, which I did. Like I said, I don't think we quite understood. If we weren't asking for reviews in the beta, we were just asking people for feedback to figure out technical quirks and stuff.
Well, that's really cool nice that they left a review without even being asked. That's really cool. Nice.
And that it worked at all, right? Because as a developer, you try your hardest, and then as often as things break, it's like, I don't know if any of this stuff works, but especially out in
like
the
we
real
talked
world.
about, there's so many edge cases with people
Yes.
think it's just very simple, right? Like
Mhm.
just free gift with purchase or whatever. There's so many issues that you have to like safeguard against and all that other stuff. So kudos for your first 5-star review and for being listed public.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So my whole, I'll just riff on this for a moment. That's cool. Do you want to
Please.
get yourself a cup of tea while I talk about this?
Awesome.
As we were kind of getting to the point of, sorry, I'm stumbling here. There's always something else you want to do or fix before you release it when you haven't done it yet, right? Once you're out the gate, it's like, okay, whatever, fine. But that initial moment of bringing your creation to the world, both because you want it to be really good in terms of the feature set, but you also want it to be really solid because you don't want to risk, like, there's a lot of fear over getting bad publicity, getting bad reviews initially. So you're constantly second guessing yourself, and at some point you just got to pull the trigger. So a couple of things that we did on this last sort of push before we listed it that I feel really good about is, one, Taylor, you may have noticed we actually have had a sponsor for the last couple episodes, someone that you connected me to. And when I looked into their product and their offering, Hookdeck, I was very interested and excited about it because I had sort of just put off the idea of someday I'm going to have to deal with a large volume of webhooks,
Right.
And there's some guides on Shopify even about how they might approach that. There's some AWS routes and some other routes that you can go that way. But I'm just like, I don't even need to worry about it initially. I just want to think about it. And I had done everything in the app that I could to even minimize it. Like, we filter webhooks, we subscribe them on a per shop basis. We only listen to the specific products that we're interested in, kind of a thing, right? So, but when I was looking into this potential sponsor, Hookdeck, I was like, this is amazing. Like, it's just like meta fields allow me to basically offload a ton of computation onto the Shopify platform and protect my little app and the small compute instance I have wrapped around it. Hookdeck has allowed me to essentially like know that there's someone who's capable of dealing with all the webhooks Shopify could ever send them at scale, and then provide a buffer to me to slowly feed those to me as I need them, allow me to filter them, look at them. When things go wrong, like I had a bug where it was resetting some of the data in the meta field because the webhook payload was different from what my code was expecting.
Yeah.
Thanks, AI. And so it wasn't being set correctly.
Yeah.
Being able to like go into this third-party site where the webhooks are just sort of living and adjusting and be able to see exactly what payload came over was way easier than like looking through the server log and trying to see like, okay, what came. Okay. Anyway, so super excited to be using that because now I can sleep at night because I don't ever worry about losing a webhook.
Yeah. Well, that's a big deal though, right? Like as far as trying to figure that out, I've even been trying to figure that out for a couple of things. I was trying to work that into another project that I was doing as well. And that's kind of part of the problem, at least in my instance. I have a third-party app that's just sending. They don't let you listen based on events, and so they just send literally everything for every little thing, and that's a huge problem. So,
well, that's the thing. I'm totally going to use it.
Awesome.
I'm going to use it as an event queue, right? Like, if I ever want to, like, I think one of the things I want to do in the future is to begin collecting more statistics around how the app is being used, like when free items are being added, when that stuff. Like, I could, instead of pinging my server with that sort of stuff, I could create a new source on Hookdeck, just notify Hookdeck that it's happened, and then it just gets added to this event queue stream that then gets sent to me. But then I don't have to worry about buffering. I don't have to worry about, was the server down? Did I miss something? It's just all handled for me. And it's not expensive. Like, it's not free, but it's not expensive. Actually, it is free up to a certain amount. So depending on how.
Yeah, it's like anything else, right? Like they've got like a free
10,000.
tier.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So, obviously they're sponsoring us, so you call me shill, whatever, but I really like it. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, I think that's important though for, we're not just, taking that as a sponsor and it's not a product that haven't like tested and used, and, they've got some great momentum going online now too, where they posted a couple of like cool things about like radar and a couple of other things that they've implemented, and it seems super, super helpful. So I wish I understood more about this here, and I'm delving more into the app dev where webhooks play such a huge key. So hopefully I'll have something to contribute to that conversation now, but it's awesome that you're actually actively using it and finding it super useful right off the bat.
Yes, thank you. It's very useful just to sleep better at night, honestly. And then the
right.
Because, it's not hard to stand that stuff up necessarily, but it's just more complexity. I just want to worry on the core stuff.
Well, as far as standing stuff up in complexity, like that's, is this a JavaScript app? Did you You didn't even talk about like the tech stack or anything, you know?
Do I even need to say, Taylor? It's
I
a
think you
Rails
do.
app.
I think you do.
It's a Rails app.
It's a Rails app? Are you serious?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I decided to try something different. Went with the Rails app.
That's wow. Wow. Okay. That's awesome, man. Very
Yeah,
cool.
no. And every time I look at the code, it makes me smile inside until I look at the theme extension, which is all JavaScript, and I think,
Oh, I was just saying,
good Lord.
and you're using theme extensions. Okay, so you're using
Yeah.
the theme extensions, and yeah, you're cringing a
and
little
the function too. But
Oh,
well, that's
you're
my
not
last.
using Rust.
Okay, stop. So with the code, one of the things I like good code architecture. I don't know that I often achieve it, but I like the idea of it. And a long time ago, I came across an idea that someone had shared. I don't know who originally came up with this, but there's many names. One of them is functional core imperative shell. There's a bunch of
sounds awesome.
architectural things like hexagonal architecture, stuff like that, DDD, domain-driven design. But this one essentially posits that you want to create as much of your business logic in a functional style, which means like no side effects, data immutability, all that kind of stuff, functional programming tenets, right? And then outside of that, you have the imperative shell, which is the part that like deals with the real world, so the I/O, the user interface, things like that. But you have like sort of this pristine inner layer, which makes it way easier to test, way easier to deal with state issues because you're not mutating data, things like that. And so that's one of the things I try to bring into the little bits of code I write. It's like, how can I redo this in a way where I can try to achieve this? Like, it's not going to be perfect, but I try to keep those boundaries. So that's one thing I was working at before making it public, was just like really honing in on where are the areas for mutation that cause problems that I can isolate and try to extract that imperative from functional portion. And then the final piece for me was Sentry. We use Sentry already, but I went through and made sure that I really enhanced it in terms of getting tags on issues, so I knew what shop was having an issue.
And for those that aren't as aware, Sentry is like error reporting for your app, right? Yeah.
Yep. And
and it works in Rails apps too. I'd say I've known it just from like the JavaScript world, but I really have not heard about it being used outside of that space. So it does work. It works great for Rails too. You actually have those errors in Rails world.
I could be lying. I think Sentry worked with Rails first. Before I added JavaScript
it could be.
support.
Like I said, that's my only introduction through it was so the syntax.fm podcast is a really great podcast, but they're JavaScript devs, and so that was my first introduction to Sentry. So that was why I was asking.
Sentry supports a wide range of platforms and runtimes now, and it's not so much that Rails has errors; it's that I did things that I wasn't expecting and want to know about them.
Yeah,
it's not Rails' fault; it's my fault.
Right, it's not Rails' fault.
No, but Sentry's cool. Not. The team is cool. I actually had a great fortune when I was out in San Francisco for a Stripe conference to go visit their office, and they had, Silicon Valley. I had a really cool like happy hour, a bunch of food, people hanging out. It was a lot of fun, and the folks I got to meet were super cool and they're super smart. So enjoy using Sentry. But now I have I'm working on tweaking my alert settings to figure out like what is actionable so I can get surfaced when we actually have problems and I have to wonder if things are working right. Because as an app dev, you put it out there and like, I assume it's working, like no one's complaining.
Right. That's how no one's complaining.
Right. So it's good to get better insight and stuff.
Yeah. And you want people complaining, or your app complaining, I guess, to you directly instead of people leaving a bad review and all that stuff. So that's,
I know it's going to break and we will fix it. You just got to tell us. Right.
Yeah. And that's the tough part, right? Like people don't always reach out to support like every time. And I think we talked about this a little bit with Matthew Smith when he was on. He runs the that Sections app and stuff. And so we had talked about this. Everybody that downloads an app just expects it to work. And so you're not usually going to get a review for somebody downloading an app that they just expect to work. Like I hop into my car and expect the car to just turn on, right? Like when you turn the key, that's what people assume is going to happen. And so you have to provide some kind of way to get ahead of that, to get those good reviews and those sorts of things, because what they will do definitely is leave a bad review when it doesn't work the way that they think it should work.
Yes.
So getting ahead of that using something like Sentry and what have you, that's awesome. That's really fantastic. Now are you I see that you got a new computer. So is your old computer like hosting the app now? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm not getting a computer. So now we're switching gears. This is not the app anymore. So we homeschool. We have some of my old computers. I think we have a 2013 MacBook Pro and a 2019 MacBook Pro. And they're getting a little long in the tooth at this point. And so I've been looking to see like what will we need next. Should we get? And we also have a 2019 iPad, so we're a little behind in terms of the tech, and it's starting to show its age. So I've been looking, trying to figure out like what makes the most sense to purchase. I don't want to spend a lot of money on it, but I also don't want to cheap out. So I've seen some refurbished M1s for like $700, like a laptop. But then you can also get like a brand new M4 Mac Mini for like $600.
Yeah, I tried the Mac
or an
Mini route on
iPad.
the M1s, and I was not impressed. It's our
Weren't you?
family computer now. No,
Oh,
so
why not?
maybe they've just come a long way. It felt so slow. Like so I have a 2012 or 2014, I can't remember which, MacBook Pro. That was my first dev machine, and so it's not what I use anymore, kind of type thing. But it's just the backup in case something happens. But I had got the M1s when they first came out, because I saw a lot of people saying that they did that with the M1 minis. They were like, hey, like these are great. Like you can use this to replace your machine. I was like, cool, I'm going to try that. And it just felt so slow still. Like it felt the same as my old MacBook Pro. I got a new MacBook laptop at the time. I don't even know what year this one is. But it's an M1. And like it like was night and day difference. And so yeah, I don't know. Did you land on something as far as like where that goes? We're still in the research phase.
Still in the research phase, especially right now because there's so many deals coming up. Just figure if we're going to do something, now's the time. But the laptop versus the desktop is still a big concern too. My wife doesn't like to have like big screens just sitting out, and so I think like having a desk where there's just a screen, she prefers not to have that. So that makes me think laptop. But then I'm thinking, if we're going to spend all that money on laptop, could we just get by with an iPad? Because I guess it's more laptop-like now than it's ever been before, right? So I don't know. You have any thoughts?
So I mean, you've got personal preference with the wife there, so I would never go against that. I would go with whatever. But I also have my own office that I can close the door, and so I think my next machine will be an actual desktop setup.
Yeah.
I just because I have the laptop, and I thought that I would be like a lot more mobile than I am. And I found that it just like varies. So it's nice to have that ability to like walk away and do stuff or what have you. But I could really see the benefit of the main machine being a desktop, just sitting in my office and being ready to rock. So I think my next one will be that. But I don't know. We'll see as far as that goes. I love the MacBook Pro. So I would be looking honestly at that kind of type thing as far as something that was necessary. If it was something more that wasn't as heavy on the dev, like my wife, when we got her a new laptop, it was just one of the MacBook Airs, and it worked great, like fantastic for everything that she needs and more. And but she's not doing anything like crazy on there necessarily. Just spreadsheets and different things is probably the most intense that it gets. So
actually,
I don't know.
Late last year when they came out with the new M4 MacBook. So I had always rocked like a 16-inch MacBook Pro. It was sort of my default machine when I would get one every like 5 years, whatever it was. But I went for the MacBook Air, the 15-inch. I love it. It's great. It's lighter.
I was gonna say, a lot of people say the Airs work great.
So for what we do, web development, it's fine. So.
So I don't know. Have you researched Omarchy?
I have, Taylor.
I mean, by research, have you tested it out? Like maybe that could be the main driver. DHH swears by it, so
yeah, I know. You know how I feel about all that. I want to desperately. I don't have a path to that right now. I've actually been looking at those little B boxes, I think they're called. Those like $400 or $500 computers. Getting one of those and setting up Arch Linux on it so I can mess around with it. But all my computers are old Macs. Maybe that could be the
go-between. Yeah, maybe. Well, you could use an old Mac though for it too, if you like want to. That's my thought. If I'm going to try it, I'm going to bust out an old. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be an Intel one, or the M1s might support it with that one version of Linux. I can't remember what it's called. But the trouble is, the default installer for Omarchy requires the entire disk. So you'd have to wipe the whole computer and be okay with that. You couldn't
well, for me, for my backup, that was my future plan if I wanted to test that out, kind of type thing. So we'll see. I don't know.
Wow, if you really want to rib me, then go ahead and you get that up and running first, and I'm gonna feel terrible.
Ooh, I now have fuel for that.
There you go.
That's a weekend project that I've thought about, just because I'm assuming it's like, oh, like it's not that big a deal, but it's one of those things like this is gonna end up being my whole weekend. you
Yeah.
know, and so that's
it
why
will.
I need time.
Anyway, what about
Not
you? Anything
BFCM
new?
month. Not BFCM month.
Anything new on
What?
your end before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're okay. We've talked all the things, and I've talked a whole lot this podcast. So as far as stuff to go, no, I just been you know, completely covered in BFCM prep, even with stuff.
You've been busy.
Yeah, it's just that time of the year, which isn't a bad thing. Very grateful to have the work. So excited. One of the, I don't remember if I told you, the one thing that has been kind of fun is I've been able to work on a project with Dylan. Dylan Chris, we had on here. We actually have a mutual client on a project. It's been fun to actually get to work with him on something out in the wild. That's been cool. But otherwise, it's just trying to keep up with all the stuff merchants want launched before before the Super Bowl, before our Super Bowl. So
yeah, that's coming up. And that was, not to talk about meeting game. That was the other thing too with this app. We listed it, but we're not advertising it because we do not want a bunch of installs right before Black Friday, because if something is wrong. No.
Nope. Yep. Leave it alone. let it
That's right.
let it ride out.
Anyway, should we do picks of the week real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you have
I'll
one?
think of something.
You didn't think of one? All right, I'll go first. So I may have mentioned this before. There's a book called Rogue Heroes.
Okay.
It came out a while ago, but it is about the development of the SAS, which is the British Special Forces during World War II, 1941 era. And it's a fascinating read about some fascinating individuals. I'm a World War II history buff kind of guy, so I naturally liked it. And then I had heard that they had made a show based around it, which obviously won't be as accurate, but it's the only place you can watch it in the States, as far as I'm aware, is a service called MGM Plus, which has like nothing else on it that I'm interested in. So I finally got the trial this week when I was taking a little vacation time and started watching it, and it's really good. So if you like the book, if you like World War II history, if you like things like Band of Brothers and stuff, I highly recommend Rogue Heroes, MGM Plus.
Nice.
Watch it. 2 seasons. I think they're doing one more. It's in development right now. So, and the book's really good too. So if you don't want to get MGM, just read the book.
And the book's good. What? That's how you know.
Yeah.
Well, I love that
yet?
you're always such a learned man, you know, and you're always picking like stuff that's
it's a it's a heavy mantle that I wear, but I bear it willingly.
So I am going to go ahead and make my pick rockauto.com. So this is, I don't know if you've ever had to purchase anything for your car, for vehicle repairs and those sorts of things. And there's nothing wrong with running down to the local O'Reilly or AutoZone. But this website, Rock Auto, I can't remember who originally told me about it. A buddy of mine who's a, an engineer kind of type thing or whatever that, is what I can imagine. But this website is awesome. So I love just how like plain Jane this thing is and gives you exactly what you want and is crazy fast. And the parts on it as well, very affordable and so easy to set up and work with and use. I'm referencing this because recently the fuel level sensor for my truck has been intermittently going in and out, which has been an annoyance. And so did a little bit of research to figure out parts that I needed. And per usual, they are significantly cheaper than any other option since I have the time. And it's not something like that needs immediate like access. I went ahead and like ordered it and showed up in a decent amount of time or whatever. So big fan. It's a fun website to look at or whatever. It's like looks the same as it did like 10 years ago. So from the web dev side of things, like I love that aspect of it. But also if you are needing car parts or anything like that or whatever, they're going to save you a bunch of money too. And so if you guys are listening and want to sponsor the podcast, great. But I just think it's fantastic. So rockauto.com.
Yeah, it looks great. I've actually been looking around for a new battery for my Odyssey, so I'll check that one out.
Nice.
Well, Taylor, we've done it.
Karl, we've done it.
And
cue the cheering again.
Yeah. No, you made it through another exciting edition of the Look Wiki podcast. Thanks for being with us. It's been great talking to you, Taylor. I actually really enjoyed walking through all that stuff. Learned a lot today. And those that saw a lot today. And we'll see you on the next one. So until then, happy hacking. Good luck with Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and we'll see you then.
All right. See you later.